Today we're diving deep into the world of the PlayStation 3. That's right, the PS3, a console that has left an indelible mark on the gaming industry. The PS3 was actually a huge win for Blu-ray. It was the first console to use it, and it helped make Blu-ray the winner over HD DVD. Remember how you could play your PS2 games on the original PS3? Yeah, later models actually got rid of that feature. The PS3 was originally designed as a controller shaped like a boomerang. Yeah, that almost happened. Thankfully, Sony scrapped that idea pretty quickly. Remember when the PS3 launched at $499? Or $599 for the 60GB version? Yeah, that was a tough pill to swallow back then. The year was 2006, and gamers around the world were eagerly anticipating the next big thing from Sony. The PlayStation 3 promised cutting-edge graphics, a built-in Blu-ray player, and a host of other features that were ahead of its time. But the price tag? That was something else entirely. Many fans were shocked and disappointed, wondering if the new console was worth the hefty investment. Retailers saw mixed reactions, with some stores selling out quickly while others struggled to move units off the shelves. The high cost was a significant barrier for many, leading to debates and discussions across gaming forums and communities. Despite the initial sticker shock, the PS3 eventually found its footing, becoming a beloved console with a rich library of games. But that launch price? It remains a memorable moment in gaming history. Sony actually lost money on every PS3 they sold at launch, sometimes up to $240 per console. It only does everything, that was the PS3's slogan. Bold claim, but it kinda lived up to it with all its features. The cell processor struggle. The PS3's cell processor was so powerful that even game developers had a hard time figuring it out. Linux on your console? You could actually install Linux on the early PS3s. Sony later removed that feature though. The Phat PS3. The original PS3 was massive, like seriously big, hence the nickname Phat PS3. The US Air Force actually built a supercomputer using 1,760 PS3s. Talk about power. Heavy Rain, a game changer. The game Heavy Rain on PS3 lets you make choices that actually change the story. Groundbreaking stuff. Bluetooth before it was cool. The PS3 was the first console to have Bluetooth, which was a pretty big deal back then. The Sixaxis controller had motion controls but no vibration. That's because Sony was in a legal battle over vibration tech. Eventually, Sony settled the lawsuit and released the DualShock 3, bringing back the rumble we all know and love. Unlike Xbox Live, which charged for online play, the PS3's online service, PlayStation Network, was totally free. Remember when having a web browser on your console was a novelty? The PS3 was ahead of its time. Believe it or not, the PS3 didn't have in-game voice chat at launch. Can you imagine that now? PlayStation Home was like a virtual world for PS3 users. It was a bit strange but had a dedicated following. The PS3 was the first console to embrace HDMI, bringing that crisp 1080p resolution to our screens. Sony made a super rare, limited edition gold PS3 controller. It's like the holy grail for collectors. The PS3 launched a year after the Xbox 360, but its powerful hardware helped it catch up. Unlike the PS2 and PS4, the PS3 actually launched in Japan first. The original PS3 logo used the same font as the Spider-Man movies, Sony synergy at its finest. The original PS3 was a beast, weighing in at around 11 pounds. You could get a workout just moving it around. Listen closely to the PS3 menu chime. It actually changes depending on the time of day. You could stream games from your PS3 to your PSP, which was the earliest form of PlayStation's remote play. The PS3 Slim wasn't just a name, it was 33% smaller, 36% lighter, and used way less power. Remember 3D TVs? The PS3 was ready for them with support for 3D Blu-ray movies. You could actually let your PS3 help with medical research through the Folding at Home program. The PS3 sold around 87 million units, which is pretty close to the Xbox 360's sales figures. A Japanese PS3 commercial featured a creepy dancing baby doll. It was something else. That powerful cell processor was developed with IBM and Toshiba, and it was really expensive to make. There's a hidden debug menu on the PS3 that only developers can access. It's full of system settings and test tools. PS3 firmware updates were notorious for taking forever, like sometimes hours. Some PS3 models were region-free, meaning you could play games from any country. A win for importers. PS3s sold in the UK were briefly banned from being exported because of a patent issue with LG. Sony removing Linux support from the PS3 Slim didn't go over well. It even led to a class action lawsuit. The Last of Us, one of the PS3's best games, came out just a few months before the PS4 launched. Talk about timing. Sony used PS3s in stores to show off Blu-ray discs because they were cheaper than standalone players at the time. In 2011, the PlayStation Network was hacked, causing a massive data breach and taking PSN offline for 23 days. The PS3 was the first PlayStation to have trophies, which are basically Sony's version of Xbox achievements. There was a limited edition Metal Gear Solid 4 PS3, but it was only released in Japan. Lucky them. The PS3 was the last PlayStation to use a slot-loading disk drive. The PS4 switched to a tray. Console matchmaking. Your PS3 could actually find other PS3s nearby and connect for local multiplayer. Pretty neat. Blu-ray discs were slower to load than DVDs, so PS3 developers had to get creative with loading screens. You could actually control the PS3's fan speed by holding down the eject button when turning it on. LittleBigPlanet was one of the first PS3 games to let players create and share their own levels. The PS3's original startup screen showed a wave-like animation known as the XMB wave, which became iconic. PS3 users could use a feature called Remote Start to turn the console on remotely via a PSP. The PS3 Slim introduced a matte finish, which helped hide fingerprints better than the original's glossy exterior. There was a special Final Fantasy VII limited edition PS3 that was only released in Japan. The PS3 had a feature called BD Live, allowing users to access extra content online for Blu-ray movies. The system's main menu chime changes in pitch based on the console's region setting. Sony developed a PS3 Super Slim model in 2012, which was significantly lighter and had a sliding disc cover. The PS3 controller could charge via USB even when connected to a PC, making it easy to keep powered. Some versions of the PS3 included built-in infrared sensors, which allowed it to be controlled by universal remotes. Did you know that the PS3 required a massive 380-watt power supply in its original Phat version, making it a bit of an energy hog? And speaking of customization, you could personalize the background theme on the PS3's XROS media bar, or XMB, with dynamic themes, a new feature at the time. Sony's development of the PS3's cell processor was so secretive that even some of their own engineers didn't know the full details. The PS3's Blu-ray player was considered one of the best on the market, leading many people to buy it as a cheaper alternative to standalone Blu-ray players. The PlayStation 3 had built-in support for stereoscopic 3D in both movies and select games. Despite the lack of rumble in the Sixaxis controller, it had motion sensors that worked for games like Warhawk. And who could forget Flower, a PS3 exclusive game that let players control the wind and flower petals, offering a peaceful and unique gaming experience. The PS3's cell processor architecture was so complex that developers often said it was like programming for a supercomputer. Sony claimed that the original PS3 could theoretically last up to 10 years without needing replacement. At one point, Sony even considered adding a PS3 controller with a touchscreen but dropped the idea due to cost. The PS3's notorious red screen of death would display a red error screen, usually only in extreme system failure cases. Despite its size, the PS3 Slim model managed to pack almost the same power as the original, though it had reduced backward compatibility. Originally, the PS3 came with memory card readers for SD, compact flash, and memory stick formats. It could even play video content from the PlayStation Portable, PSP, through Remote Play. The Life with PlayStation app provided real-time news and weather updates globally. Did you know the PS3 controller could be used as a mouse and keyboard replacement on certain games and apps? And Sony's PlayStation Home, the social platform for PS3 users, featured mini-games and exclusive virtual items. Some high-end PS3 games took up to 50 GB of storage, showcasing Blu-ray's vast capacity compared to DVDs. In some regions, PS3 units included a TV button on the controller for switching between games and TV quickly, and the PS3's interface language could be changed to a variety of options, including Latin American Spanish, which was rare at the time. So there you have it, folks. More fascinating tidbits that make the PlayStation 3 a true powerhouse in gaming history. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive, and as always, keep gaming and stay curious. So, there you have it, a whole bunch of useless but interesting facts about the PlayStation 3. From its groundbreaking technology to the quirky trivia that surrounds it, the PS3 has certainly made its mark in the gaming world. Whether you're a hardcore gamer or just someone who enjoys a bit of nostalgia, there's something fascinating about diving into the history of this iconic console. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any future videos. Whether it's more gaming history, tech reviews, or fun trivia, there's always something exciting coming up. Until next time, keep gaming and stay curious. Stay